My fellow Americans, don't worry, I'm just addressing my intended audience, not running for office. It's a little late for that anyway, seeing as how Election Day here in the good old US of A is tomorrow. Hey, that reminds me. Election Day is tomorrow. Have you voted yet, my fellow Americans? I bet some of you have. According to NBC News, as of this recording, nearly 30 million people have already cast their ballots thanks to early voting and voting by mail. I'm one of them. As of the previous election, I'm a permanent mail-in voter here in my state of Maryland, and I voted, about a month ago, actually. As soon as I received my ballot, it was easy. I was able to take my time, fill out my ballot. If I wasn't sure about a candidate and needed to look something up, my laptop was right there. And when they mailed me my ballot, they included an I voted sticker. Great experience. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Early voting turnout for this election is higher than is typical for midterms, which is encouraging, and Democrats make up a significantly larger share of that turnout than Republicans, which is even more encouraging. So, if you have voted already, I want to say thank you. And since you're watching my channel, I'm going to assume you didn't vote Republican, so thanks for that too. And if, by chance, you did vote Republican, eat shit. It's not my job to change your mind, but maybe consider that by voting Republican, you're actively participating in the destruction of democracy, freedom, justice, and the planet itself, and stop doing that. Just a thought. Oh, and eat shit. Did I say that? Okay, so now that the Republicans know I'm not talking to them and have hopefully stopped watching altogether, if you haven't voted yet, let me ask this small favor of you. Please vote tomorrow. I know the Democratic Party as an institution doesn't exactly inspire enthusiasm or confidence in many of you, and that's understandable. But remember a few things. First, Democrats in Congress, frustratingly moderate as many of them are, would have passed much more progressive and far-reaching legislation than they did these last 2 years if they'd had the numbers to do so. Because of the way the U.S. Senate currently works, at least 60 votes are needed to guarantee that a bill passes. Otherwise, the minority party can block it with a filibuster. Democrats have a 1-vote majority in the Senate. That means any bill deemed too progressive to attract 10 Republican votes is essentially doomed to fail. The filibuster rule could be changed with a simple majority vote, but 2 Democrats, Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, have refused to support efforts to reform or remove the filibuster, effectively blocking most of their own party's legislative agenda. So, are the Democrats going to radically transform American government and society for the better? Probably not. At least not in the short term. But do you support raising the minimum wage? Do you support forcing the wealthiest Americans to pay their fair share in taxes? Do you support taking aggressive action to counteract climate change? Do you support increased regulations on firearms? Do you support codifying the right to obtain an abortion? Do you support measures to guarantee that everyone who is eligible to vote is actually able to vote? If you do support some or all of those things, I've got good news. Most Democrats in Congress or who are running for Congress support those things too. I have often stressed the importance of electing Democrats to office and then pushing them to be more progressive. And that's still extremely important. But for the stuff I just mentioned, we don't even need to push. They already want to do it. They've already tried to do it in most cases, passing bills in the House of Representatives where there is no filibuster and only a simple majority is needed for most legislation. What a concept! Only for those bills to die upon reaching the Senate. Go to the polls tomorrow. vote for Democrats. And if the Democrats are able to expand their majorities in the Senate and the House, all those things I just mentioned are going to happen. Will it fix everything? No. Will some of the reforms passed by the Democrats go as far as they should? Again, no. Aggressive action against climate change probably doesn't mean a full-on Green New Deal, and raising the minimum wage probably means making it $15 an hour when it really needs to be closer to $20 in order to be a living wage. But it will mean progress. Not sufficient progress, but urgently necessary progress nonetheless. Progress worth voting for. And that's just considering the election at the federal level. Republican-controlled state legislatures across the country have passed laws restricting or eliminating abortion access, have instituted dangerously permissive gun laws, have enacted measures that threaten trans kids as well as parents and teachers who want to support them. And perhaps worst of all, many Republican candidates for crucial state offices this time around are election deniers who support the false claim that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. Last week, Tim Michels, Republican candidate for governor of Wisconsin, said that if he wins, Republicans in that state will never lose another election. If rhetoric like that doesn't make the little hairs on your arm stand up, it should. That is an American gubernatorial candidate promising his supporters to use his power to steal future elections. It is no exaggeration to say that democracy itself is on the ballot this time. That being the case, it's incredibly important that we all cast our votes in support of democracy, which means voting for Democrats. Democrats, democracy. See? It's easy to remember. The point isn't that voting will fix everything. It won't. But if those of us who believe in things like equality and justice and environmental responsibility don't vote, none of the problems we care about will ever get fixed, because political power will be held by people who don't recognize or don't care about those problems. You care about making healthcare more available and affordable. Republicans want to undo what meager reforms we've managed to put in place over the past 12 years. You care about guaranteeing that everyone has access to a quality education. Republicans have spent years vilifying and silencing teachers and are currently working to block President Biden's program to forgive student loan debt. You care about instituting more humane and welcoming policies toward immigrants and refugees. Republicans have spent the last month and a half cheering Ron DeSantis for a cynical and cruel publicity stunt where he sent a group of migrants to Martha's Vineyard on false pretenses with no support or coordination with local officials. Democrats as a whole are not as progressive or as fierce about fighting for their agenda as they need to be, but they are not Republicans. One party is fighting for some progress, while the other is fighting to make every major problem afflicting our society worse. These two things are not the same. There is a clear choice. Perhaps not the choice we would like, or even the choice we deserve. But it's the choice we have, and we're all going to make it one way or the other, because if you are able to vote for Democratic candidates tomorrow and you don't, you are making it easier for the Republicans to win. You can tell yourself you're not taking a side, but either through your actions or your inaction, you will serve the interests of one side or the other. Look, I know we're all sick of hearing politicians say, this is the most important election of our lifetime, but here's the thing. It's true. It was true last time. It was true the time before that. It's true this time, and it will be true next time. Every election is the most important one yet, because elections are when we, as communities, as states, as a nation, come together to choose our future. Voting is our right, our responsibility, our privilege, our duty. If you haven't already done so, please, tomorrow, if at all possible, carry out that duty. help us to choose a better future.